Hey guys, I am at Lurian's house. I've been wanting to come here for years. This guy is legend. Here he is. Lurian, say hi.
How's it?
I've got a selfie stick, Hooch. You'll be proud of me. Anyway, he's been showing us his garden. I'm going to take you around his whole garden. Check it out. I'm walking in his garden. And about, he said 10 years ago, this was just like a parking lot almost. Look around at all the trees. Amazing. Banana circle. Look at all the bananas.
Either it's grey water, or it's a channel that's coming off a road, or it's a downpipe from a gutter, or it's an overflow from a tank. It's one of these events where you've got excess water and you want to soak it in. What you'll do is you'll decide how big you want to do it. Don't do it more than 2 meters, but it can be as small as half a meter with 3 bananas. But I would suggest going for like the 1.5 to 2 meters size if you've got the space. This I went for 1.5, but it's a bit tight. I would have liked it. Then you dig a hole, and you dig that hole about a meter deep, and you take all that soil and you spread it in a ring around your hole, and that's where you plant your bananas. Every 50 centimeters or so you plant a banana in that ring, and you leave a little entry point. So this is where the channel ends, catching all the water from the hardscape of the driveway. So that whole pipe will fill up, soak into the wood chips, but then eventually overflow and go into this mulch pit. And it will go in there because it's organic matter, it's pure organic matter, it's like a sponge. And I'm constantly adding that to it. It's like old cardboard, all the paper waste.
And come and see how amazing the chickens are, how fat and healthy the chickens are. He puts the chickens inside this enclosure where they scratch away at the compost, and he kind of opens them and lets them run through into another section, and he puts them wherever he wants them at the time. Look how fat and healthy they are. Just look how beautiful they are. He uses soldier flies to feed them. It's got like a whole plan. They've got a whole plan where the chickens go through into different sections. Here's one of the sections where the chickens go through. Don't those look like the happiest chickens you've ever seen? Look at the space. It might just look wild to you, but inside here there are pumpkins, tomatoes, gooseberries. Look at the pumpkins, the way they're growing on this little wall thing. It's mints. And then what he did was, which is amazing, around this entire place, he's thought about it so carefully, is along the side where the wind comes, he's just planted windbreakers along there. There's wild olive. I don't know what the others are, I can't remember what they are, but along this whole wall, windbreakers. There's no wind in this garden. My hair's not blowing. There's no wind in this garden. But when you step outside, it's really windy. Look at all of the pathways that are here. He's got wood chips all over the place.
So then what I want you to look at as well is wherever you've been walking. So you see that's a flood pond. It doesn't have any water in now because it hasn't been raining, but that pond will fill up when it rains. This pond here behind me as well will fill up when it rains and soak away. They essentially soak away ponds that are connected by this flow pipe. So I showed you the point where the water's coming off the road. It's coming in there, and then it spreads in 2 directions. One comes along here, fills up this pond, and then it forks and goes along here.
So it's really working nicely. And then what he's done is he's dug this dam. Check it out.
So this channel, this is where the end point will be. Come out through there. You can see the bit of pipe and the bidden sticking out there. So when we have big rains, this fills up. Even now, I mean, since it's been here, it's filled up many times and soaked away many times. Hence how big this tree is, I think. Which, as I was saying, this tree is less than 12 years old. So this pond is going to be a plastic lined pond, because I don't have a choice, because the fig tree is going to destroy any concrete infrastructure or anything I do. So it's going to be a plastic line, first this line, then plastic, and then a ferro cement kind of lining. And then it will also be an aquacultural element. where the water can be pumped to a header tank and then watered into the garden.
Wow.
So all the nutrients in the water from the fish then becomes part of the flow of the garden. And in an ideal world, that pump will be a wind-powered pump, because this is the wind sector. So there's a lot of potential to actually put a wind turbine here to power the pump, which goes to the header tank, which then gets fed into the whole drip system.
Oh my word.
And that is all aquaculture. So basically the whole garden goes on to aquaculture from that point. And then all the tanks overflow to this. So whenever we have an overflow, rain event, the swales are overflowing, the tanks will overflow. And eventually this will be the grey water purification. At the moment the grey water is just running straight into the banana circles. But I'll prefer to clean it up a bit more.
Oh, and this over here is Mommy.
Mommy, hello.
You've met Mommy before. This is everybody's Mommy.
You all like that one.
She's Lurian's Mommy.
Okay, yeah.
But she's my Mommy too. And she can be yours if you're very nice to her. We're in a drought, everybody, and look at this garden.
So that banana circle is taking care of all the grey water from that side of the house. So the focus has much been more on getting the perennial system set up. And the perennial system, everybody knows what perennial means. Eh? It's like plants that live for longer than one season. They anchor themselves in place, their roots continue to grow, they continue to create relationships with the life in the soil, they harbor predator eggs and this kind of thing. Whereas if you're only in an annual system, you're always going back to square one. You don't have a buffer of that perennial infrastructure around your annual system. So it's almost like we're nesting any annual production in the perennial production. And I don't know if anybody's been at my talks on soil, but I've been doing more research on soil, on my own soil, using a microscope. And it's become very evident that I'm missing a lot of the primary predators in my soil, which is fantastic to know, because immediately I can know that what is wrong. And I can go to steps to remedy that and bring those primary predators. Now I'm talking about protozoa and nematodes, which cycle the nutrients out of the fungi and out of the bacteria. So a deciduous tree that loses its leaves, it's on the northern side, so it gives us shade in the summer and gives us sun in the winter, because it loses leaves in winter. So it's another little design element, using a natural event that happens. Like the tree loses its leaves. So you can do that with grapevines as well. It's very good to have grapevines on the northern side of your house. You get that shade in summer and you get that winter sun. Loads of basil here. This is the perennial basil.
It smells so nice.
So it's a really good insect attractor into your garden. It's fantastic to bring the beneficial predatory insects and the wasps and the pollinators and all these wonderful things. And then if you want to, like, if you prune it a lot, you get better leaf production. So what we do is we alternate from pruning. So we leave some to go to flower, and then we prune others so we can